And good evening, everybody. How do you do? Welcome to a beautiful Saturday night in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the midst of a quarantine. Welcome to 31 more days. Here we are. I don't even know what day we've been doing this show for. I'm Brian Carruthers alongside my man, Ed Troop, safely socially distancing from me. Hi, Ed.
Hello, Brian. How are
Hey,
you
I'm
this
good.
evening?
Great to see you here for another exciting night. You look great, man. Looks like you got some sun. Were you outside today?
I was outside today doing some home projects, doing some painting outside around the
Oy
house,
vey.
and uh, some things I probably normally wouldn't do or would say, "I'll get to it. I'll get to it. I'll
Yeah,
get
right.
to it." And finally today,
Here's
I did it.
I was outside too. I raked leaves, and I'm like, a leaf hasn't fallen off of a tree in 5 months. How am I still raking leaves? Um,
Right.
and here's the thing. I want to send a negative shout out to start the show if I can.
Negative.
You mind? I rake the
Whoa.
leaves, and I'm like,
Sorry
while
about
you're
that.
doing that, hi to Jason. Hi, Jesse. Hi, TJ. TJ is my neighbor. He'll know this. Hi, John Koppler. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Alex. Hi, Betty. Hey, Scott. How you doing, man? Welcome to the show, everybody. Hope you're having a beautiful day in the Berg. Even though we're being quarantined, we still have a great show for you. But I want to send a negative shout out. My neighbor, I won't name them. It's not TJ. Cut their grass yesterday.
Okay.
And of course, you know what happened then. The freaking chain reaction of, well, now every neighbor has to cut the grass. So then my other neighbor cut the grass. And then you're outside and you hear, and you think, what jagoff's cutting his grass? And of course, then Marcy standing there goes, huh, our grass looks terrible.
Time to cut
And I
our
was
grass.
like, wait, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. They jumped the gun. They jumped the gun, and we should not have to do that. And well, I got on the mower today and like a fool start cutting grass in April. So I just want to say if that my neighbor's watching this, what no?
Well, I was going to say it's April, man. When do you want to start cutting grass? In June? I
Yeah,
mean,
I
if
would
this was
love
like
to.
February, if this was February, I'd say, okay, you got an argument. But my goodness, baby, we're ready to go. It's springtime. Cut
I
that
would
grass.
love if someone would give me the free pass to cut the grass starting in June, dude, I'd be all over it. Yeah, there's Marcy. There's the comment from Marcy. I told you
She
that.
said
Oh, she
she'd
said
cut it.
I told you I would cut it. Now that's funny because that is the that's the go-to wife move where they'll go, "Hey, will you cut the grass?" I'm like, "Well, it's April. It's April. No, it seems a little early." Well, the neighbors did. Well, just show me how to turn on the mower and I'll do it.
Right.
All right, I'll do it.
Well, Scott Stoner, who's watching this broadcast, is my neighbor, lives across the street. And Scott, not that any of us are taking notes. Your yard looks beautiful, but I think Scott is the last holdout on my street not to have cut his grass yet. I think he's the last
Wow.
one.
Hey, standing ovation for Mr. Scott Stoner. Hey, can I say quickly that the show tonight is brought to you by Legends Eatery on the North Side. Legends, one of the greatest restaurants in Pittsburgh. It's available for takeout tonight and every night. Sounds like a good night for takeout. So thanks, Legends. They're not paying us anything. We've eaten there a bunch of times and we know Chef Dan and everyone needs a little help right now. So if you're looking for some takeout this weekend, or as the quarantine goes on, Legends Eatery on the North Side, right next to the hospital. You can't miss it, right in the corner. It's awesome.
I completely agree, man. Legends is a great spot, and again, we want to support our small businesses during this time that we're stuck to our own houses.
Let's say hi to Michael. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Heather. Hi, Anthony. Hi, Robin. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Amanda. Brian Richter
Our
says
good buddy
hello.
Brian.
Hearing the start of mowers in April gives me anxiety. Then I go out and tell my wife our yard is too wet. Now, hey, Brian, now there is something that I tried as well because I said to my wife, I go, well, I know they cut, but our yard's a little bit lower. It's all mud. If I do this now, I'll tear up the whole yard. And that gets me a free pass for, I don't know, 10 minutes before it's like, hey, I went out there and felt it. It's not wet.
Brian, we know where you live, and you have a beautiful yard, beautiful home there. But Brian has he has a big hillside in the back too that that he has to contend with. So I could see why he doesn't want to get out there and cut grass right away.
Hey, hi to Jim Emmerling, my main man, having that North Side marketing group, Emmerling Marketing Group. He's right down the street from Legends. He should go to Legends tonight for dinner. I'm sure he may already have. Hi to Amity. Hi, Nikki. The whole gang's here tonight, Ed. What a Saturday night. Remember when Saturday nights, the joke now that like we're in our 40s is, oh, remember like when we'd go to the bar on a Saturday night, but now we're watching a Disney movie in bed. Now it's like, hey, remember 3 months ago when we would walk outside?
Remember when it was like, hey, I'm gonna just go in the car and go to the grocery store for the 6th time this week, or I'm gonna go. Let's go out to eat. Let's meet up at wherever you want to go.
Right.
Not anymore. It's all over.
Right now, my idea of a perfect Saturday night is walk down into the kitchen,
yes,
go to the island in the kitchen, look at the DuPont appliances. It's perfect. I'm like, Vegas, baby, Vegas. Here we go. It's a night to just put some ice cream in a bowl, and here we go. No one has to see me or to even look at me.
Well, today I was walking around my house with outside my house with a half gallon of white paint and a brush, and I was trying to find things that I could possibly touch up and paint. And my
Huckleberry Finn.
My neighbors were looking at me like, Ed, what are you doing? And I'm like, and then there were things I was painting that one of my neighbors pointed out. And I don't think you should be painting that. That's plastic. I don't think you should be painting plastic. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to find something to do.
I know. Hey, hi, Rachel. How are you tonight? Hi, Rachel's here, Ed.
So before we move on this broadcast, I had a chance to go back today and listen to the Sally Wiggin broadcast from yesterday.
Oh, are you like me? Do you have a Sally hangover?
And what a fantastic night that was last night. And for those of you that missed it, if you have a chance, go back and watch it. It's on Brian's page. It's on my page. But Sally was just pure Facebook Live gold.
And she called me right after the show. I thought it was a client of mine or something, so I ignored it. And it was her, and she picked up right where she left off. She didn't even say who it was. So that's a true power move when you don't even say what your name is. It just, you click it, and it goes, hey, so I was going to tell you the story I wasn't able to say about Paul Long. Oh, was it great? And then she goes, you know what? Let's just do dinner, and I'll tell you and Ed all about it because it's just so great. But call me back. And then I called her back, and we talked about some risque things. For not that Sally held back last night. I mean, she talked about having an addiction. She talked about hiding in the grocery store. She talked about pouring Purell into her own eyeballs because of the quarantine, and that's not a joke.
Her fast food addiction. I mean, it was.
How about she was carjacked at gunpoint?
Well, Brian, yes. How about the carjack story? How about that? That was
great. Dude, Sally's carjack story was gold. Hi, Shelly. Hey, Shelly Duffy is listening. The legend herself. Hi, Shelly. Hi, Gretchen. Good evening. Hi, Vince. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a beautiful Saturday night online.
But in all seriousness, it was a great night. It was a great interview, and we're going to try to follow it up here in recent weeks. But I think we need to get Sally back on for part 2 at some point. So we'll have to work on that.
There's so much. It's funny. I said to a friend of mine, they were like, wow, that interview with Sally like blew my mind. And I said, yeah, Sally was like unhinged. And my friend said, Sally was I'm drunk and Sally was unhinged. But hey, tonight, let's not worry because we got another great show for you. Another Pittsburgh interesting icon is going to be with us, Jeremy Raymer, the local artist. And he's the guy responsible for all these awesome murals around town, Ed. And we'll pull him up as we talk to Jeremy, but he's done my favorite. I need to tell him what an emotional religious experience is, but he just most recently completed the Roberto Clemente mural on the north side that you see when you get off 279. But the one we really want to talk about is this one about the Tiger King that he just did. And I got to find out where he did it at. I don't know, but we're going to have him on in a few minutes. So it'll be exciting to hear from Raymer. You see him everywhere. He did the Deutschtown Yeti, which was a big hit. He does the Homer Simpson reaching into the garbage can of donuts. Dude, his stuff is everywhere. So we'll be talking to him tonight.
Amazing, and anxious to hear what he uses as far as like spray cans go, because I know when I tried just to paint one basic thing around here, it's a total disaster. So I couldn't imagine using stuff like that and doing that type of artistic work that he does. So pretty incredible. I finished Tiger King last night. I watched the final episode. I finished it up last night. Well, I cheated. Full disclosure, the night before I went on Google and Wikipedia Joe Erotic. And so I found
Joe Erotic, Joe Exotic.
Oh, exotic. Sorry. Erotic? Exotic. My fault. Else. So anyhow, I cheated. I knew that he got 22 years in prison, but it was still interesting to watch it unfold last night. And I felt like I need some Purell after I got done watching that last night, like to pour all over me and cleanse myself.
Yeah, Joe Exotic is a disgusting person, but you know what? I applaud him. Now I did see that the one guy, Jeff Lowe, the guy who he sold the Tiger Park to. He just said that they're recording something where they're going to have a new updated something next week on Netflix with Jeff, and obviously not Joe Exotic. He's in jail, but
I think
we'll find out.
And when I was watching that final episode last night, there's guys like him and a few of the other characters that are on there. The guy with the tattoo tier and the guy with the long hair. Yeah. And they can make a show just about those guys. They don't even need Joe for that. I mean, those guys in themselves are very unique and intriguing to watch and entertaining. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
Well, Joe is the king, so it's going to be hard to figure out if we can do it without Joe. But we'll find out. Hey, before we get Josh up or Jeremy up because he said that he was close. I see him getting his camera all set. Here's a recent quick on the coronavirus. Ed, give me your feedback on this. The Trib put up an online poll. It said, "How far should Pennsylvania go in policing Governor Tom Wolf's stay-at-home orders?" 29% said wide-ranging. We must slow the spread. 37% said somewhat. Let's get people who are flagrantly, going against the law. Amazingly, 32% of the people said we shouldn't and just let people do what they want, which is really terrifying. And then here's the part that I can't understand. I know that we're sitting around and we're all bored. 2% said not sure.
What aren't you sure about? That 2%.
If you're not sure, don't answer the poll. Like, look at it and go, well, you know what? I'm gonna maybe page mark this. I'll come back to it. But to be like, you know what? I'm sure that I'm not sure, so I'm definitely gonna click that.
Well, last night we talked to Sally about it, and I was thinking about this more this afternoon while I was trying to paint outside around my house about football season coming up in the fall, and how do you make that switch to go to 75,000 random people at a sporting event? Yes. And boy, it's really tough because all the data that everybody's seeing is there's going to be a second wave of this coming most likely once fall and winter come around of next year. So it's a very troubling situation. The poll numbers that you have up there that you just went over are very fascinating to look at. I think
more people right now are saying forget it. They're just saying just go for it, right?
Yeah. The other side of that argument is maybe there's nothing we can do. Maybe it's just everybody is going to get it. Some will survive, some won't survive, and that's what it's going to be. There's part of that, right? I mean, is there no stopping it? Is the social distancing only to keep the numbers in the hospitals down because they can't be overwhelmed? I don't know. I think the data has shown in these other countries with the lines and kind of flattening out and coming back down that there's some value there. I'm still a believer, man, that the warmer weather is here. And maybe that'll have something to do with it.
And that's what Trump said. That's been discredited, the warmer weather theory.
The argument because it's in Florida and California and some other warm countries.
Yeah, right? It's not.
And I agree. Yeah, right. Sure.
Right. I guess we'll see. Well, speaking of sports, I know you'll like this, Ed, but we have next week on the big show because we're stuck inside and we're going to keep going. We have from the Post-Gazette, Mr. Ray Fittipaldo. He's going to be on the show next week.
Oh, that'll be outstanding.
We're going to talk about the Steelers, the draft. Will there ever be a game at Heinz Field in 2020? All of these questions must be answered, and Ray Fittipaldo knows all the answers. He actually has solved and cured the virus.
Oh, wow. That'll be – well, then we don't have to worry about it being warm outside or not warm outside. And just
that's the breaking news.
I'm not saying I think it's going to go away with warm weather. I think I'm hoping that it would go away once the warm weather hits here and gets better, just like the flu does. How the flu numbers go down. But
While
Ray,
you're digging a bigger hole for yourself, let me say hi to Jeff and Roger, Monica. Hi, Dina. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Mark, Andrew, Christina. Hi, Holly. Hi, Nick. Oh, Ray Fittipaldo. Hi, Ray. See you next week. And John, Scott. Hi, Rob. Hi, Sarah. Boy, the whole crew's here. This must be for on record the most boring Saturday night in the history of Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Because our ratings are way up tonight.
Well, the Sally Wiggin ratings are in from overnight, and they're huge, right? I'm going to say Trump when I say that. They're huge. The Sally ratings are huge, but they are.
A lot of people are saying the interview with Sally was one of the greatest interviews ever. Everyone's saying it.
Still, I love Brian's impression of Trump because it's Colbert's impression of Trump. It sounds like Colbert's. I love it. I love it.
Well, hey, let's see if he's here. I think we're close. Jeremy Raymer, the mural. We're going to find out, is there a term muralist? I don't want to embarrass myself and say muralist like, pianist. Maybe we should say he's a pianist.
You see, I changed my background a little bit here. I got the thing here in the dining room with these wine glasses that never get used.
Yeah,
They've been here for 11 years.
They look nice.
Don't they look nice?
And look, I know where you're going with this. Don't embarrass yourself in front of Jeremy and tell him like, "Oh, I painted the inside of my house." He doesn't care. He's not going to be impressed by that.
Okay.
He's not going to be impressed by that. All right, so let's bring him in. Jeremy Raymer is here. You know probably his work more than you know his face, but here's his face. Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me, guys. How you doing?
Hey, Jeremy, how are you?
Good. Very good.
Hey, thanks for taking the time. And we want to talk about your Tiger King mural, which everyone has shared a million pictures of on social media. But, dude, I got to tell you before any of that, the experience of seeing the Roberto Clemente mural that you did for the first time in person, to me, was a religious experience as a Pittsburgher.
Thank you, man. So appreciative of that. Thank you.
How did that come about?
That was a random one. It wasn't the initial plan, actually. Someone had reached out to me to do a piece in the South Side, and for whatever reason, they either said Pittsburgh something, or maybe they even said something. I threw Clemente idea out there. It was a completely different image and like a different orientation, and that one had fallen through. And at that point, I was like, I would really like to do a Clemente. And the year prior, a friend of mine had kind of thrown out the idea of doing something there, and I think I drove past, and like when I looked at the wall again, I was like, oh, that's like one of the best walls in town. So I did a quick little Photoshop together and threw it out to my friend. He shot it over to Len Verdetto. Within 15 minutes, we were talking and we were good to go. And I was out within like a week after that. Basically, I completely repainted the entire wall, the same color it was. And then there's a little bit of a cinder block fence to the right. We did all that. Mm-hmm. And then I came out in like 3-4 days, basically about 30-40 hours of painting and did Roberto.
Wow.
Yeah. Jeff is asking where it's at. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's right when you come off the 279 onto East Ohio Street.
Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It's definitely Madison Avenue. It's like the 800 or 900 block, right behind where that new hotel is going to be opening up, the corner of Madison and East Ohio. But if you're going to get on 279 from like the 16th Street Bridge or East Ohio, you look to the right, you can't miss it, Or if you're coming across the Veterans Bridge, you'll get a little peekaboo view as you're going down to get onto 279, going outbound from the city.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea, man. It was really excellent.
Thank you.
And Jeremy, you said 30 to 40 hours it took you to do that?
Yeah, probably 30-ish. Like for a certain size, when I can really scale up the face and I can do everything freehand, it's actually a lot faster than if I scale down. Like, unfortunately, no one's gotten to see it, but I did a double dragon mural. It was more drawn as well, but it's in Gaijin. I spent like 400 hours on that, and it was because it was smaller and more detailed. So when you get to a certain size, like above about 10 foot and above, same thing for Magneto. It was about 30 hours. I can go like about 600 square feet in a day when I have the right scale. Especially black and white too.
Look at the screen if you can. So we have up a picture of the Clemente one, and I guess that's you on a cherry picker, right? How does this all work? And like, I can't even paint. Like Ed said, he was outside of his house today painting places in his house. I can't imagine how bad it looks. But how do you not get lost in that? Are you etching it on first, or is it a screen?
So there's a few different techniques I do. You know, everyone's always like, oh, I use a projector, you know, that's cheating. I do use a projector if and when I can because it speeds up the process.
Hmm.
And you'd have to look deep in my Instagram, but you would see when you see what I have up on the wall for what I project, you have no idea what it is. I could go sketch that out for someone right next to me, give them the exact cans of paint that I do, and I'd like them to see to do what I do, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do what a doodle grid. So like I'll just throw some like random elements up, maybe my name, and then I'll have my design, and then I'll overlay that, and then I'll change the transparency so I can see where those markers are at. And it's basically the same thing as you do in high school, where you'd scale, like you draw a grid, like maybe 1 inch by 1 inch on a regular sheet of paper, and then you're scaling up on a larger canvas, and you do 5 inch by 5 inch, and you just look where stuff intersects. It's virtually the exact same thing. So this one, yeah, I did come out at night, sketch out where, you know, if I get the eyes and where the highlights and the nostrils and the mouth especially, I can kind of go right from that. But you know,
Okay.
I did a Spock down in Leavenworth, Kansas back in July, and like I did get to project a teeny bit, but once I get it up there, I kind of do a correction after 30% and after 60%. And basically,
Yeah.
I'll look at where the progress is at and compare that to the original. And then it kind of really gets that likeness dead on, and I can get something highly accurate within, you know, 30 hours or so typically.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. And
Thank
and
you.
one thing I will tell people who are looking for something to do in quarantine, I know we're supposed to stay at home, but if you go to Jeremy's website, is it just your name, Jeremy? Is it
So my two main things actually, it's all on Instagram basically. My main account, and you'd see everything up to date, and it's kind of like a little bit of a diary of what I do and random stuff. Is Jeremy M for Michael Raymer, and that's Raymer. And there's a hyperlink in the bio there, so you can get right to the other one. It's Raymer Art Tours, and there's a link in the bio there that's a self-guided walking tour map of about 35 out of about 75, 80 murals I've done in and around the city. And it's basically just the north side, Deutschtown, the Strip District, and into Lawrenceville at this point.
Yeah, but what's cool about it is what I was going to say is even though you're on lockdown, if you're looking for something cool to do, get like takeout food or get ice cream, and you can follow the map on your website to the things that you did. It would
Yeah,
be
and you could
so fun to
drive it.
do.
You could drive it very easily. You know,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a mixed bag. You know, we're kind of supposed to get out and get exercise too. And someone did a little story on like they've kind of called it Raymer Alley down in Lawrenceville, where I've been working on two warehouses and a house down there and a fence. There's about 20 to 30 pieces literally within. You could walk to all of them within 5 minutes, all right there.
Well,
Jeremy,
last summer I came across the Homer Simpson one for the first time, and I got out of my car and took a picture of it. I was so excited to find it.
Who doesn't
I know
like
we
The
got a picture of
Simpsons?
that.
It's
Yeah,
the
the
biggest
Homer
box
one
of
is
donuts in the
tremendous.
city too.
Jeremy,
Say again?
when did you start doing artwork? How old were you?
You know, I always liked to sketch and doodle. I never went to any art classes really after high school, basically. But I went to Pitt for biomechanical engineering, and then I went again for electrical engineering. And I did get to take a few studio arts classes, some sculpture, some drawing, and then I did take one painting class. And basically, this kind of all started from I had taken sculpture, I had taken art history, drawing one, drawing two, and then my drawing two instructor at like the end of the semester. We were all doing like a group sketch where there was a gallon container of paint that didn't have anything on it, so it was raw metal and it was all dented. And we were sketching it with charcoal, and my drawing instructor was like, "You draw like a painter, you should try it." So I took one painting class in oils at Pitt in like 2002, and didn't really do anything with it. It was fun, you know. And then I moved out to San Francisco in '05 and for work, and I didn't really like have any friends or know anyone yet. So randomly, I packed up my Graham's Honda Civic, and my trunk was like half full, and like I grabbed my oil paints and canvases for whatever reason. I lived in a small surfing town with my dad for about 6 months. It's called Bolinas in Mill Valley. Everything closed at 8. So I did a self-portrait and basically been painting ever since. And it kind of ramped up from, you know, kind of just a hobby, something to kind of break up my mind from doing engineering work during the day. I did a show in San Francisco, and everything was oil paints, small scale at that point. You know, some of the content I had still done that I do now, Nikola Tesla, 50s and 60s models and actresses, random stuff too. And then my
Yeah, what's this one that's
sister.
on the screen here? This is a superhero that you invented. I'm not a Marvel
Oh,
guy.
no. This is Magneto actually. So he's a Marvel guy. Um, Definitely one of the big guys. And
This is badass, man. You used a
thank
building
you.
and a fence.
I was gonna say it's a building.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that's a scrapyard actually, which for placement you don't get a much better than Magneto on a scrapyard. His power is extreme magnetism, and he can control metal. This is a photograph of a good friend of mine, Rick Selesnik. He did a long exposure, and you kind of get that ominous vibe. There was a lot of clouds in that day. This is one of my favorite photos of anything.
Well,
That's
even when you go down into the strip and you see it, man, it's shocking. It's shocking, and then you look deeper at it and you go, wow, this is just absolutely breathtaking too. It's really
Thank
cool
you,
stuff.
thank you. Yeah, a lot of times people, you can only see much detail on screen, and also even if I'm in the frame, you can get a little bit of idea for the size, but you really got to experience them in person if you have the opportunity to.
Yeah, and this one's in the strip too as well, right on the flower shop.
Yeah, that's Blumengarten Flowers, right? I think it's 27th and Penn. It's right up from the Sherwin-Williams store down there. So a lot of streets, people are on bus routes or riding buses.
Yeah.
If you ride on certain routes, you'll see, multiple pieces of mine. It's maybe 18, 20 different neighborhoods around Pittsburgh and close to 80 pieces at this point. I got a little bit everywhere.
Do you have to be wealthy to have you do one of these? Because I think everyone listening probably wants you to spray paint their house.
I evaluate projects of all shapes and sizes. I mean, frankly, you can't really say exact pricing, but everything's custom pricing, but I'm not cheap. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I'm fast, and it's all based on what you guys want and what we can come to agreement with for size. And if we have to rent aerial lifts, I mean that gets very pricey.
Yeah.
Materials aren't too bad, but at the end of the day, it's my design and my execution time.
Oh yeah.
What are you using, Jeremy, as far as just like different types of spray paints, or I mean,
So yeah, there's three lines. I mean, there's a lot of different lines, but I only use three basically: Montana Gold, Montana Black, and MTN 94. And basically, between all those, they all have unique color tones. And since a lot of times I do, like realistic, you kind of need a lot of paint. Sometimes I'll use 200 or 300 cans on a single piece.
Wow.
Wow. Hey, well, let's talk about your most recent that caught everyone's eye. I mean, obviously, Tiger King is so explosive right now, especially. And which, by the way, I wonder, would it be that exciting if we were allowed to go outside? But that's for another day, that conversation. But tell us what happened here, Jerry. So you have a, I guess it's a mural of a tiger that was already there, and then you came in and spray painted Joe Exotic into it.
So I was talking to my friend about doing a Joe Exotic piece. I definitely kind of try to keep up and see what some other street artists are doing. I hadn't seen any yet, and I wasn't sure where I was going to put it. And another artist, Chiaka Howes, he kind of painted a fragment of that tiger. So the tiger was there, actually. That was there by itself. If you look at my Instagram, you can see the progression where the tiger was just by itself. And then I threw my ghost lines up and I came back in and did this.
And where is this at, Jeremy?
This is at Tustin Street and Moultrie Street in Uptown.
Okay.
15219. Right behind Forbes Field Garage. There's several of my other pieces up and around the area here. And James Simon, another prolific Pittsburgh public artist, is literally 2 blocks down from me. And he kind of had some cool artwork, something to the effect of artwork on Gist. It's GIST. That's another street 2 blocks down from me. He has a really cool King Kong and some other like random mosaic pieces and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then if you go a little bit down on Moranti's Italian Market, I got a Sophia Loren down there.
Cool. So you thought this is perfect for Joe Exotic, and do you have to get permission to do it?
It matched up perfectly with the image that a lot of people have been sharing. Like literally, if you search Joe Exotic, you'll see him like kind of leaning in like that, and the tiger right there.
Yeah. And do you have to get permission to spray paint this on?
My friend owns a huge field across from me. He also owns this lot, and he kind of gave me, he's like, if you want to get out and do whatever, you can kind of do it. And that tiger's down there, so I just went down and did it.
I love it. How long did it take you?
Saturated when I did it though to know. I'm like, it's going to disintegrate pretty quickly. So it was never intended to like stay up. Likely it would either get buffed out with
Hilarious.
spray or just
Yeah.
kind of chip apart really quickly. Definitely comparative to a lot of my other pieces.
Well, the good news is in like 20 years, our kids and our kids won't look at this and go, "Who the hell is this guy? Is that
I
Brett
mean,
Michaels?"
next week, no one's going to know who he is. So whatever. It ain't going to, it wasn't meant to last.
Yeah. What's next after the quarantine is over? Well, I guess are you allowed to work right now, or is there a
So
project that you're working on?
theoretically, since I don't have a physical location and I also work by myself, yeah, I'm allowed to go out and do what I
Cool.
do. I've been doing a pretty big design phase over the winter for one public art project that should be kicking off soon. And then also, a really cool, innovative yoga studio is going to be opening downtown, Aether Yoga, and I'll have my most ambitious commission to date for them. It's going to be like 600-700 hours of stencil cutting and spraying. It's a mixture of gods and goddesses from the Pergamon altar. It's also called the Altar of Zeus, if you've ever seen, possibly.
Okay.
It was up for the running in like the Seven Wonders of the World. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. You guys will have to look it up after this. And when we were chatting about the project, he was telling me how they're going to kind of have this really unique air purification system there. So they're going to have like some of the best or the best air quality of any yoga studio in the entire United States there. And we wanted to incorporate that into the commission. So I started doing some research, and I'm like, obviously, you can kind of think lungs, you can think organic matter, and I do anatomical components too because of my background in biomechanical engineering. And then I'm like, just on happenstance, because I reference Greek and Greek gods and goddess at times, I'm like, maybe there was a god or goddess of the air. And I look it up, and then I come across Aether, or maybe pronounced Ether, and he's one of the primordial gods that is in the embodiment of the upper celestial air breathed by the gods only. And it was like, what are the odds? Like, this is exactly it.
Yeah.
So he's the central component, and then we have another mixture of gods and goddesses that touch upon little different other elements that are embodied within the business ideals there. Gaia, the goddess of the earth, and some other ones too.
How big is this going to be, Jeremy?
So it's going to be about 8 foot tall and 18 foot long. So realistically, it's a movable mural, but I just do them large scale and typically do them on some sort of movable surface. I've been doing that a bit more lately. So if the client ever moves location or wants to reconfigure, they can take it off the wall at the end and still be able to keep it.
Very cool. Wow,
Jeremy,
awesome.
your work is spot on, man. Spot on. Great stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess one of the questions I want to ask you was what was your favorite? What's been your favorite project? The top thing you've done that you've like been like, wow, that's my favorite.
It's always hard to choose. And I've gotten the fortunate a little bit of exposure this week and doing some interviews, and people ask me. So I kind of think back at pieces I've done, and it's really tough to choose, between here, and I've done pieces in Brooklyn, Palm Springs, Leavenworth, Kansas, LA. Probably the Magneto one, to be honest. It's a little bit of a nod to my dad because I was a tinkerer when I was little. I'd always come up with inventions, and I was always obsessed with magnets, and he'd let me take anything apart, and I'd always be pulling magnets out of them. And just for the placement, and just because everyone likes it so much, it's definitely one of my favorites as well.
It's so cool. Yeah, Jeremy, hey, thank you, man, for your time, and thanks for beautifying the city, man. It's really important, and it makes Pittsburgh look really hip and fun, and you're a genius, man. Thank you for all the time tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Jeremy, we can follow you on Instagram, right?
Yeah, please do. I always appreciate a follow, any comments, and if you guys are ever interested in a commission, small or large, slide in the DMs, shoot me an email, or give me a call. I'm always happy to chat.
My mom just said, "Do you paint inside walls of art?" Avoid calls from my mom, Jeremy, or you'll be doing like a mural of me and my brothers drinking beer and my dad. It'll be so weird. Just don't.
It'll be awesome.
She'll pay though.
We'll be doing another Facebook Live then, and then I can use that as the backdrop, or you can.
Yeah, I love it. We'll be set. Hey, Jeremy, thank you, man.
Oh yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks,
guys.
Jeremy.
All right, there he is, Jeremy Raymer, everybody. Pittsburgh Mural King. What a guy, Ed. Do you just when you meet people who are so talented, especially artists, do you realize how worthless you are? Like just sitting here and he's talking about the art and the painting and he's putting all this time into it. Like the most creativeness that I put into my life is I adjust this camera to make sure you can see Mr. Rogers and Sean Graham behind me.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And it's funny because he's outside doing this work in a a sensitive area. Lots of people watching him or can drive by each day to see his progress. So he's probably constantly being critiqued by the public each and every day when he goes to do one of these projects. But phenomenal talent and has done some really cool things in Pittsburgh, as you mentioned.
Well, anything that I do creative or I work on, and you and I have known each other forever, like I'm my own biggest critic. Can you imagine driving through Lawrenceville and seeing like 900 pieces of things that you've worked on, and you look at it, you're stopped at a red light, and then you're like, should I have used a different kind of paint? Should I have drawn his arm a little bit different? It would drive me insane. But the good thing is I have no talent the way that he does. And by the way, how cool is that guy? Like, on the cool level, he blew us out of the water for how cool he is.
Dude's got the beard and the hair going on and just like really laid back and like, hey, here's what I've done. And absolutely, man. I want to go hang out with him for sure.
Oh, I think it'd be a lot of fun. And then he'd talk about things. He talks like an artist. We suck.
Maybe you could spray paint a design on my head or something. You know what I mean? We should make that happen.
Let's see the head. Just now that all the ladies are worked up with Jeremy's sex appeal, even they'd probably settle for you at this point.
That's right. Well, this is the complete opposite of his look, right? I mean, so
you think not one piece of hair on your face. Hey, hi, Allie. Allie's watching. Hi, April. Hi, Lisa. Noreen. Hi, Frank. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Jen. Hey, my friend Lainey Hill is watching from Los Angeles. It seems like everybody right now is having these Zoom get-togethers. Have you seen these? Where it's just like, it looks like the Brady Bunch squares and, people share the social media stuff. But I interned in 2001, I interned with Late Show with David Letterman, as you know. And so a couple former Letterman interns got on Zoom the other night to chat it up.
Did you get on?
I did get on. And for me, it was like a social nightmare. I mean, I don't really love to reminisce. I like people. I'm better one-on-one.
Well, that's 19 years ago now, which is kind of crazy when you stop and think about that, right? 19 years this summer since you interned with Letterman.
Yes.
Why don't you share with us, man? Why don't you share some story? You got a story or a crazy story?
I just saw that Lainey is watching, and Lainey was she interned, and her department was with Paul Schaefer and the music department, and I interned with the writing segment producer. So whenever like someone like James Earl Jones or Derek Jeter would come out and read a top 10 list, that would go through the department that I worked for. And Lainey's in Hollywood, Ed, La La Land. She's never left, and she produces reality TV shows.
Wow, there you go. That's very cool. Maybe
it was great to see her the other night, although I just felt so uncomfortable. And, man, I try to make these jokes, and my face is so big on the camera, and like I click it. I haven't seen these people for 20 years, and they all look like models. Like they're so pretty, and the people are so handsome. And then all of a sudden, like I get on, and like I don't even know how to work it, and it's just so bad.
Well, just a little insight for everybody out there watching. One of the coolest photos that Brian has in his house is a picture of Letterman running onto the stage, right? Don't you have that picture somewhere, or is it in your office?
I have it in my office right here. Hang on.
This is one of the coolest photos that you took during that internship that if he can show you. And go ahead, and why don't you explain to everybody the story behind this? Because when you told me about it, I looked at Letterman in a much different way.
Yeah, so every night
there it is.
Would kind of stand, kind of where this photo was taken is where I would stand before Letterman would go out. So when Letterman would walk out from behind the stage, beforehand, he would sprint from that door where there was like a mirror there was lighting, and then people were putting makeup on him, but he would sprint across the stage, then take a breather, and then wave to someone who wasn't even standing there, and then the curtain would go up and he would walk out, and it was magic, man. It was really exciting. Really one of the coolest experiences ever. Although when you think about the time that has passed, I mean, this is like, I don't know. I feel like it's like people talking about like they worked for Johnny Carson or something. Like, is it too outdated now to people?
Well, it's funny. Last night, Sally Wiggum was saying, "No, people don't even remember me." We're like, "What are you talking about, Sally? People remember you." But Now we're getting a little bit older, and I guess there is a generation behind us that might not remember her doing the news. And sadly, same people might not remember David Letterman. Now I'm getting some conflict reports. Our buddy TJ, fake news. Marcy saying he didn't take that photo. Did you not take that photo?
No. Did you say I took the photo?
I did. I thought you did.
No, when Letterman retired, they did an article on the retirement, and this was a picture taken by the New York Times.
Oh,
wow. And then I purchased it. But this is the reason I loved it so much is this is exactly where I would stand while I was working there. There he is running out like a crazy person.
Well, in my eyes, you took that photo, and I'm going to stick with that because I think it makes it even a cooler part of the story. So
yeah, right.
Very good. I like it.
So hi to Rebecca. Hi to Rebecca's watching. Hi, Alex. Hi, Mario. What a night here in Pittsburgh. Hope everyone's enjoying the quarantine. What do you make of the week to come, Ed? So like now, normally like Saturday night, right? You try some fun. Maybe it's this. If you're a real loser, it's this. And then you wake up on Sunday morning and you have this anxiety that you're going back to work the next day. So did I not get enough done yesterday? Do I need to do today? Easter's coming up. What a strange world we're in now where that anxiety and all of that concern is gone. Like, how could it just be gone?
Yeah, now you're not thinking about that. You're thinking on where's this week going to take us? I remember, what was it, two or 3 weeks ago when this kind of first started, at the beginning of each week, they kept saying, buckle up, this is going to be the worst week yet. Buckle up, this is going to be the worst week yet. And I think I was watching one of the press conferences yesterday with the president's team, and they were talking about the next 2 weeks are really the crucial weeks. And just read something online before we came on the air here tonight that they're hoping within the next week or two, that's when things will start to peak. And then hopefully we'll be on the other side of the mountain with this thing. But in order to do that,
big news, though. That's big news, right? That California, that New York, would you say New York, Louisiana, and maybe Florida will be on the other side
in about a week and a half. Yeah, that's if it continues to project the way it is right now from everything that we've said and read. And we all have to stay home and do our part, which I think around here in the Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania area where we were doing a good job. There was a statistic that just came out this afternoon as well. I was looking at that in the state of Pennsylvania, for every 100,000 people, there are 67 confirmed cases.
I just found out a friend of mine has it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. There you go. She's young and hopefully healthy and can quarantine from her family, but it's starting to happen for sure. 67 to every 100,000. Just in comparison, in the state of New York, that number is 532, I think. Whoa, look at you with the numbers.
For every 100,000. It was interesting because I went state by state. West Virginia, it's like 14. You look at like a place like Iowa, it's like 29. Yeah. California was like 60 or something. And
then you see some of these states, North Dakota, South Dakota, no, they're not even doing anything. They're just wondering why everyone's freaking out.
And every day I look at the state of Pennsylvania map that comes out, which shows the increase in 24 hours of cases. Washington County, where I am, I think they're up to 46. Allegheny County, I think, is up to what, like 300, 400 now or something. And but there's still like 3 counties in the whole state of Pennsylvania that do not have any confirmed cases. And I don't remember all of them, but one of them is Elk County, which is
okay. Good. Congrats. Everyone's going to be moving to Elk.
But you start thinking, like, are people just not being tested in these counties? Or are they?
Or no one lives there. They're just wood. Maybe they're just woods.
It's not a lot of people, right? It's just it's a lot of very rural.
I was thinking the other day about how everyone's 9 million people are unemployed now, or they filed for unemployment last week, which is depressing numbers. The one group of people who business is booming is sign language interpreters.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, when Governor Wolf comes on, or our Surgeon General comes on, we got a dude in the back with the long hair, and I mean, he is like in the zone. Cuomo's got one. The guy, Gavin Newsom, has one in California. Everybody. The guy from the governor of Illinois, he's got one, and they're more bombastic and outrageous than the next. This is the time to shine if you're a sign language interpreter.
Yeah, they're very animated, which I don't know. Maybe that's part of that gig. Maybe you have to be animated with it. But it's interesting because I'm thinking to myself, if you're watching on TV and you're deaf, couldn't you just do the closed caption and be able to read it, what's going on? But maybe the sign language is for people that are in attendance at the press conference that are hearing impaired. I'm not sure.
Well, you think during these press conferences, maybe they bus people in who are hearing impaired, and so they.
Dude, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out myself. Like, why is it there? Why is it? But it is every time a governor speaks at any state for anything, and it's just
they're rolling.
And it's not anybody local. Well, then again, I think maybe locally they have done them. I think they have had them.
Of course, Wolf has one. Peduto has one. Look, man, they're in demand. I don't know if it works the way that like mascots work, like who has the best gimmick or what they look like, and that's how they get their notoriety. But if we're going to give Tiger King a documentary on Netflix,
yes,
let's follow one of these sign language interpreters. Let's see. Maybe is there rivalry between them? Do some hate each other? Do some don't? Do some people think they're not as sharp as the next guy? We're going to look into this. The Sign King. That's what Netflix needs next.
The Sign King, where they raise tiger cubs and put them on the street and
teach them sign language.
Remember
the guy at Nelson Mandela's funeral? Do you remember this? It had to be like 5 or 6 years ago. Or boy, I'm sorry, I have no idea when Nelson Mandela died. I know it was when Obama was president, maybe in his second term. But in Africa, it was the Nelson Mandela funeral was in a stadium, football or soccer stadium, and Obama was there and all these dignitaries, and their sign language person was fake. He just walked up on stage doing fake sign language, and he was 1 foot from all the leaders of the world. No one knew until, I guess, he just kept doing the same move over and over again. And I think people were like, wait, that can't be something. And they got him off stage.
Unbelievable. There you go. Yeah. Nelson Mandela.
There you go. Well, hey, let's look ahead to next week. Are we I know there was talk. Are we going to take a break? We're not going to return tomorrow night for the fans?
I think we're off tomorrow night. We'll be back at it on Monday, right?
I love it. Well, hey, next week, speaking of Monday, special guest. We have a big week ahead. On Monday, Super Bowl champion Jeff Reed will be joining us from North Carolina.
How about that? Huh?
Wow. Skippy Reed.
Looking forward to talking to Jeff Reed, and I'll have to do some research between now and then on Jeff Reed. Remember, he always had that crazy spiked hair and
the craziest hair.
He was a big muscular dude for a kicker too. I always felt like
they call him Quadzilla, right? I mean, he had those big legs, strong dude, kicking from anywhere.
He was no Gary Anderson.
No, who was Gary besides Gary?
That's true. That's true.
But we'll talk to him next week. We'll find out what he's up to. And then speaking in the world of sports, we'll talk to Ray Fittipaldo from the Post-Gazette. He said he's love to jump on with us to talk about, will there be a season? Will there be a draft? The NFL is now under a lot of heat to cancel the public draft or even do the draft amongst these coronavirus times. So we'll get his take. And if they do have a draft, I wonder who the Steelers are going to try to grab. Who would you grab? I know you're always on the pulse.
Well, the Steelers, of course, do not have a first-round draft pick this year when they traded it away for Mika Fitzpatrick, which, was an excellent trade, great trade, and very good pick. So they're going to be picking, I think, maybe in the 80s or 90s overall. So they're going to have to get some steals. I know I was reading something the other day that they signed 3 XFL players this past week, and they were hoping
was one of them He Hate Me?
It was not He Hate Me. It was not one of them.
He Hate Me didn't. Oh, all right.
But they're hoping those guys can kind of fill some gaps of who they would normally draft later on in the draft, as far as getting some blue chip talent. So I don't know who they're going to take, man. The Steelers are in an interesting spot. I think it's the first time, and we can ask Ray about this as well. I think in like 50 years that they don't have a first round draft pick.
Wow. But it was worth it. Hi to Kim. Thanks for checking in late. Hi, Patty. Hi, Dan. Hi, Joe. Nate Milsom, what's up, buddy? And Chuck the movie guy. Hi, Chuck. Hey, now speaking of football, Nate Milsom's brother, Ben Milsom, who I grew up with, is the head of, ready for this gig, Ed? Tell me if you think this is a lucrative gig with recent news or not a lucrative gig. Ben Milsom, my old buddy from Robinson Recreation, his brother Nate is I think he's the athletic director of Carlington High School. But Ben, tell me if you think this business is starting to boom for him. He is the guy in charge of season tickets for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes, he's in an awesome position, and I see they just reportedly signed Clooney, I think here recently,
Yeah.
Javon Clooney. So they now got one of the biggest defensive studs, of course, with that quarterback from Michigan. I think he won like 6 Super Bowls.
What's his
You
name?
know, Tom Brady. So that's yeah, that dude has a great job right now.
Yeah, I think Ben just bought a boat.
Yeah, he should. He should. I think Tampa Bay's
Maybe 2 boats. The Brady lady. I think that's the boat who will be in Tampa Bay waters.
Let's hope they have an NFL season in the fall, because I'm anxious to see Brady. Talk about Brady's gonna play Drew Brees twice a year. So that'll
Pretty
be
exciting.
Against the Saints. So that's gonna be an interesting matchup to see that twice a year. Interesting to see Brady not in a Patriots uniform. That's crazy.
Hey, and next week on the big show here, 31 More Days with Brian and Ed, we're, of course, Ray Fittipaldo, Jeff Reed, the Super Bowl champion. We're going to have the photography legend, Yinzer legend, Dave DiCello will be on the show. So we'll talk to him about all those beautiful pictures that he's taken of Pittsburgh. And Sean Gibson, who is the great-grandson of Josh Gibson, who played for the Homestead Grays from the Josh Gibson Foundation. Negro League's 100 years old this year, Ed. You know, I'm excited. I love Negro League baseball history. So I'm excited to talk to him.
Absolutely. That's a full week, man. We got a great week upcoming. Woo! So good thing we are taking tomorrow off, so we can kind of recharge the batteries a little bit. And
why are we taking tomorrow off? Like, what did you do today? Like, what was so strenuous about right now that, like, we can't return tomorrow?
Well, if you want to come on tomorrow, we can come on tomorrow. Exactly. There's nothing going on. I mean, it's just a matter of now of, like, come 7 o'clock, from 7 to 8, this is what we got to do.
That's it. I love it. All right, anyway, have a great weekend, my friend. Enjoy your Saturday night. Let's wrap it up. And thanks to I guess we had over, 5 million viewers tonight. That was great.
Well, nothing will ever beat the Sally ratings that came in overnight. So, but we'll try our best.
We'll try our best. We'll try our best to do that. So for Ed Troop and Cecil Township, I'm Brian Carruthers. Thanks for joining us all this week. What a long week it's been. Rick started with Rick Seaback and Sally last night, and now Jeremy, and of course, Ed, to see you and your head that looks like an ice cream cone with the terrible towel wrapped around it.
And it was exactly right. It was exactly right.
I wanted to lick it. It looked so good. I wanted to lick it.
It's a perfectly shaped bald head, So and then a terrible towel, which looks like a cone.
A friend of mine told me last night, who watched oh my God, I was just going to say Peggy Finnegan, the Sally Wiggin interview.
We should get Peggy Finnegan on this show.
Oh, I think we can get Peggy. She said, your friend Ed is so handsome. She says, but you look like you're 100 years old.
Well, that's it, man, because it's the gray beard. It's the gray beard. I mean, which helps me, because I do match up well against you, because I'm all clean cut over here. It's all off, so.
That's it. All right, buddy. Well, have a great Saturday night. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. And we'll see you next week. Good luck and stay healthy. And, of course, don't touch your face. Bye, Ed.
Take care.